Let's be real. Dealing with a passive aggressive person can feel like navigating a minefield in flip flops. They say one thing but mean the exact opposite. And by the time you've decoded the first sentence, they've hit you with another, bless your heart, disguised as a compliment. So, as a Christian single who may encounter a few passive aggressive folks along the journey, how do you handle this with grace, patience, and maybe a sprinkle of humor? Here's a lighthearted guide filled with biblical wisdom to help you keep your cool and perhaps even chuckle a bit along the way. 1. Recognize the behavior without getting sucked in. Let's face it, passive aggressive people are like living riddles. The book of Proverbs has a ton to say about dealing with people whose words don't quite match their intentions. Proverbs 26:24 says, enemies disguise themselves with their lips, but in their hearts they harbor deceit. In modern terms, if someone's being nice to your face but giving off icy vibes, you're probably dealing with some hidden hostility. So, how do you deal with it? Instead of immediately taking it personally or retaliating, tempting, I know, just note the behavior. Think of it as collecting data. After all, passive aggressive people can be masters of disguise, so it's helpful to know when someone's kindness is more of a conditional loan than a genuine gift. Humor tip: picture them as a character in a sitcom where sarcasm and subtext rule. You're now the wise character, calmly observing from the sidelines. 2. Respond with kindness and a little distance. Romans 12:20 tells us, if your enemy is hungry, feed him. If he is thirsty, give him something to drink. Sometimes passive aggression is simply a symptom of someone's own insecurities or hidden frustrations. Responding with kindness might not always neutralize the behavior, but it keeps you in a place of love and peace. However, kindness doesn't mean you have to be a doormat. It's okay to set boundaries. For instance, if they keep throwing innocent insults disguised as jokes, you can gently say, I'm not sure I'm following. Could you clarify? That simple question can often catch them off guard and even encourage them to rethink their approach. Humor tip: imagine you're running a kindness marathon, and your goal is to outlast their passive aggression with consistent politeness. 3. Don't take the bait. One of the worst things you can do with a passive aggressive person is take the bait. They thrive on the reaction. In Proverbs 15:1, we're reminded, a gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. If they make a sarcastic comment about your latest project, respond with a simple, thanks for your input, and move on. When they see that you're not taking offense or arguing, it often leaves them puzzled. Why? Because passive aggressive comments often seek to fish for a reaction. So if you respond with grace and a touch of indifference, you might just short circuit their strategy. Humor tip: think of their remarks like fishing hooks, but you're the fish with an ironclad no catch policy. Swim on by. 4. Find empathy, even if it's tough. It might seem like a stretch, but try to find a bit of empathy for the passive aggressive person. Ephesians 4:2 encourages us to be completely humble and gentle. Be patient, bearing with one another in love. Remember, their behavior might stem from a tough situation, low self-esteem, or even past hurts. Seeing them as a flawed human, just like the rest of us, can shift your mindset. Does it excuse their behavior? No, but it helps you avoid the trap of resentment. You may find that by showing a bit of patience, they start softening up over time. Humor tip: imagine their passive aggression as a clunky disguise. Undercover hurting person sounds like a pretty relatable role for any of us. 5. Pray for wisdom and strength. Let's be real here. Some people's passive aggressiveness can really test your patience. James 1:5 says, if any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, who gives to all liberally. When in doubt, pray. Ask God for the wisdom to respond with grace and the strength to hold back from accidentally dropping a hint or two yourself. Sometimes taking a moment to pray can calm your nerves and bring you back to a place of peace. Plus, the more you pray about a tricky relationship, the more God can work within you to handle it in a way that honors Him. Humor tip. Picture your prayer like sending a divine SOS text. God's got unlimited data and a perfect connection. 6. Know when to walk away. There's a time for everything, including a time to walk away. Matthew 10:14 says, "If anyone will not welcome you or listen to your words, leave that home or town and shake the dust off your feet." In other words, you don't have to stick around forever. If a person's passive aggressiveness is causing you constant stress or harm, it's okay to take a step back. This doesn't mean cutting ties entirely or holding grudges, but rather taking a healthy break for your own peace. Walking away can sometimes speak louder than engaging in endless conflict. Humor tip. Imagine shaking the dust off your feet like a dramatic exit from a reality show. You walk away, cue the music, and let them be baffled by the unresolved suspense. 7. Keep a sense of humor. Let's be honest, dealing with passive aggression isn't always fun. But if you can keep a sense of humor about it, you'll find yourself less stressed and more resilient. Proverbs 17:22 tells us, "A cheerful heart is good medicine." When you learn to laugh at the odd dynamics of passive-aggressive behavior, it no longer has the power to ruin your day. Next time someone gives you a backhanded compliment, picture yourself in a quirky sitcom with laugh tracks in the background. It takes the edge off and lets you respond without letting the behavior get to you. Humor tip. Think of passive aggression as a bad plot twist in your personal sitcom. You're the main character and the show must go on, ideally with some laughs. 8. Focus on forgiveness. At the end of the day, forgiveness is essential. Colossians 3:13 encourages us to forgive as the Lord forgave you. This doesn't mean excusing someone's behavior, but rather letting go of any bitterness that could weigh you down. Holding a grudge only affects you, not the passive-aggressive person. When you focus on forgiveness, you free yourself to live in peace and joy. Pray for the person, even if they drive you a little crazy. After all, they might be struggling with things you don't know about, and your prayers could be the first step in helping them find healing too. Humor tip. Imagine forgiveness as a decluttering project. You're Marie Kondoing your soul, and passive-aggressive feelings just don't spark joy. Conclusion. Dealing with passive-aggressive people as a Christian single can be a wild ride, but with patience, kindness, and a bit of biblical wisdom, you can navigate it with grace. Remember, you're not alone in this. Jesus himself dealt with all sorts of personalities, and he managed to show love in every situation. With his example and some lighthearted strategies, you can respond to passive aggression with love, wisdom, and maybe even a chuckle. So the next time someone's words don't quite match their tone, just smile, say a little prayer, and remember you've got the ultimate superpower, God's grace and a solid sense of humor.